el quechua, ¿no? Donde generalmente se habla en idioma quechua, ¿no? I am speaking quechua, my father is speaking quechua. Podemos normalmente hablar aymara, ¿no? Aymara en quechua puede haber bastante viento, bastante lluvia o granizada, ¿no? Bastante, ¿no? Eso es lo normal, lo tradicional, ¿no? Here they're living in this area, no? And after you...
The people that live here are the Koya, spelled C-O-Y-Y-A, and they were the original and the most powerful controllers of all of this area before the, I'm not sure if it was before the Spanish or before the Inca.
Sur Exploring, ¿no? De emergencia, ¿no? Entonces, nuestro grupo se llama el grupo Suri, okay? Your group, the name is Suri Group, okay? For everyone. Bien, señoritas, amigos, pueden sacar unas vistas de esa torre funeraria, ¿no? De esa torre funeraria. Y aquí se ve muy completo. That's full buried, half buried. ¿No? That's bruto chulpas. ¿No? Well, no? Here in the underground tombs they put, no, the mummies, maybe just 2 people or 1 people. ¿No? We say maybe 1 family. ¿No? Pues lo cual ustedes ven, por ejemplo, esta es una chulpa de, ¿no? Pues este es totalmente protochulpa, este es, ¿no? Protochulpa y este es chulpa soterrada, ¿no? Pues lo cual finalmente los joyas, ¿no?
This is almost a Stonehenge-like monument. You can see that some of the stones have been worked to create the circle. Here another, you can see individual stones like that one that have been worked. The right hand one, the bigger one, is for males, apparently for their ceremonies, the burial ceremony for dead men, and the smaller one on the left for women. And they would sacrifice, they would put the body or the remains of the body in this circle for a week before they would actually inter it through the top and on the top of the monuments for the burial. In theory, these 3 steps represent condor, puma, serpiente, and correspondingly the upper world, the sky, the constellations, the today world, and the underworld. Also, this entryway was the main point of the spring or summer solstice. It must be the spring solstice because the winter solstice is to the left and the summer solstice is to the right. So according to the guide, the Koyas actually made the stone, but under the direction and by the teaching of the Inca. And notice this stone, the second one here, you can see a groove. Probably it was in the process of carving this when the conquistadors took over and eliminated their religion. You can see some of these stones here too that have been worked nicely. Presumably before all this was wrecked, it all fit together and looked very nice and precise. So you can see the gaps are pretty regular between the stones. They've just probably been repositioned after it was all fallen down. These stones are big, an impressive job, but it's probably pre-Inca, whether it's Coya or Tiwanaku, but it's not Inca.
You make the weather groups work from the towers. Once the towers fill the chambers, after to fill up with a small stone, with a straw. So, because with outside, we work with carved stones.
So the thing to notice, several things. Number one, notice all the rocky debris in there. That's how they were filled up. The finished stones were on the outside. You'll see dentations in the stones, and that was simply a strategy for locking them together. They would have a companion stone, a neighbor stone, that would equally be hollowed out, and then they would use clay and a smaller stone to put in between the two, so that when the clay hardened up, in theory, that mechanism held the rocks together. So an obvious question is, if that was such a clever idea, how come half of it's gone and it's all lying down on the ground beneath it? And the reason for that, according to the guide, is that this hill has a great deal of iron in it. And as a consequence, it attracts lightning and thunder. And in theory, it's the lightning and the thunder that cause these rocks to fall off of that edifice. Notice also, that the design is that of the penis. It starts off narrow and gets progressively larger till the top, which is called the cornice. Now notice that this is a very soft, pumice type of stone. Much easier to work than a lot of the stone I've seen at the other Inca sites. So no surprise that it'll be heavily weathered. And you'll notice they were designed as a kind of a wedge to, as you can imagine, pie shape. And apparently the mummies were installed in niches around the base. This was only for the noble and for their family. You can see that this is a very unstable structure now. Okay, the outer face is to the left. Notice the concavity there. Notice somewhat the pie-shaped design. And then here on the other side, another large indentation. Now as I roam through this graveyard of stones, I notice that some of them have some carving on it. That carving right there probably represents for one of these structures the transition from the shaft to the cornice. Now the irony is, even though the shaft goes from narrow at the bottom to wider at the top, this large stone here, I'm guessing, were used at the bottom simply because of their weight in moving them around, and also they served as a good foundation. These are smaller ones, and whether they represent lesser nobility, family, or who knows what. But you can see somewhat that first or second part of the first level of architectural design of the Incas. Very tight fitting. Beyond, those would have been used for the lesser nobility, made out of rougher stone. This was a lightning rod established or installed in the last few years to grab the lightning before it does any more damage. What the purpose of these walls was, I don't know. They're substantial. Now here you'll notice something familiar. That's protrusions, normally used as devices for hauling the rocks. I'm guessing this has been restored to this level, which is very nice. Notice in this reconstruction or restoration of a less important Chullpas, there is the entryway for the offerings, the actual bodies would have been up on top. Unlike, apparently, the important places. It's easy to imagine how the nobility of a culture, probably one and the same, could find this site to be a very dramatic place to be interred and close to the gods. It's interesting, as I film this, you probably are hearing some thunder. So there are two theories as to how they got the nobility mummies at the bottom. The first one is that they built the tower, put the mummies at the bottom, filled it in with rock. The second one is obvious. They put the mummies in the center and then built the tower around them. Okay, this is not a wall. This was the ramp that was used to bring the big rocks up to the top. And that is why it is much wider than... No problem. No problem. Arriba, no problem. That is why this is so wide, because it was used to bring those big rocks up. Notice how special this rock is. It's designed to be symmetrical and yet have the niche at the bottom, the interlocking angles in the upper left and the upper right hand corners. He raises the theory that that large stone with the niche in it has 12 corners, and that could be an allusion to 12 months, but I think that's just one of many theories. Notice that they were closely
Okay, well, guys,
Okay, here if we look inside, if this is original, that appears to be a ledge. Not an illogical place for them to have stored mummies. And as I pan down along this ramp, you can get a general sense of how it's sloping, not very precisely. He is claiming that that's a magnetic rock, and that that's the sign of infinity. And if you put a compass at the center of that, it would rotate rapidly. And that beneath it is the snail, apparently. He also alleges that that's a puma head, but I think a certain amount of this is their imagination. Potholes here are called huanco when there's one, and huacos when there are more than one. This is the high Altiplano. Look at the burro running up ahead. An old church in this very small, half-abandoned town.
Very small church. Another is possibly animal using for the transport, no? Different for the...
Notice the alpaca is the much more bulky animal, and a shorter neck. And notice his ears go down. Where's Yama? Yama's ears stick straight up. Almost look like a giraffe, don't they?
The family, the name is
See, these are the Torritos de Pucara, because they're made in that little town I was in a few days ago called Pucawa. May as well be safe. Now the arch design of this wall is an allusion to the colonial architecture gained from the Spanish. I would have thought this round building was a granary, but I don't know if it is in design, but not in use here. But notice the arch, notice the thickness of that thatch up there. Notice the nice rockwork. What a pretty little area this is in here. And notice how they've topped it with cactus here for decoration. It's well probably as to hold in the adobe. Okay, here another example of the two bulls with the bull's horns. This is for religious reasons as well as health, salud. And here are examples of the farming tools. They're the plow that you step on with your foot and you push down with your hand, shorter than the ones that you saw in the museum. And probably that one over there has a steel plow on it, and then there's just some kind of a hammer device. And here are bolos. Didn't know they used bolos. Looks like 2 stone bolo.
Local people, agriculture, because later here they put the metal. No? Okay, can I say here that, and after they put left hand, the behind, the right, no? Okay, because that's the name is Cubana. Okay, that's the animal.
Okay, now we have permission to enter the house and take a look inside. So here is the bed up on a platform of adobe. Another little like a seating area. So this may be for a mother and father or kids. Clothing on these shelves and some hooks that are embedded into the adobe. There, the reed roof on a wood framework, the religious icons. And it's actually quite warm. It's warmer in here than it is outside. I don't think they use any heat because they're used to this.
They make the furrow. Furrow, and after.
And notice this does have a door. This is the quinoa, and you can see the seeds there. That's what you get in the soup, but also they can put the leaves in the soup. Why there are 2 colors, one may be more ripe than the other. Okay, now we finally get to look at a real cocina, although this one's built into the estufa. And that's, see, alpaca dung. Vaca.
Sí.
Oh, vaca.
Sí.
Ah, sí, sí. Señor, ¿cómo se dice?
Jona.
Cona? Cona, okay. Es todos cona? Todos es cona? O este? Todos es cona. Ah.
That's for the for they make the diagnostic.
Yes.
No, diagnostic.
Yeah.
Same X-rays. You know? Before the Incas, no? The Incas people or Incas using the same arm. No? And for the 2 World Wars. No? You can see here, no? Now, for example, here they're making with alpaca wool or llama wool. No, need. No? And after the brain, in the area, you put the small stone in the middle. Here's the shape. What's that? Yes. What is it? The clay.
Underneath the eaves of the house are the jawbones of sheep, ovejas. Sheep. And the reason that they're up here is as an offering in the hopes that the sheep will be more productive and there will be more sheep in the future. I'm going into the kitchen now. Senora gives me permission to go inside. Okay, so here we have shelves, and mainly the shelves here because all of her cooking goes in out here in this stove right there. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Man behind me made the joke. Some years ago he jumped out of a plane 3,000 feet below where we're at now. It is a good life for people. This yellow is quinoa. These are forms of irrigation, you see. Why there's such wide swaths, I don't know. Here's some more examples of the irrigation. Why they don't use more small channels, I don't know. I think this is the town of Juliaca that we're entering, the major metropolitan area here.
Questo sto facendo, pappa.
Look up the old site on Google, New Grange in Ireland, about 2,000 years plus or minus before the pyramids. Rather impressive thing, even the way it is, isn't it?